Hello and welcome to Jennifer Knatters, my knitting and nattering podcast. My name is Jennifer. Today is Thursday, the 28th of March, and we have some knitting to talk about. Don't know why I said we, it's just me. Apologies in advance if I need to stop the video for a coughing fit. I didn't record an episode last week because most of us have had a really bad head cold, chest cold for the last week or so, and there were also a couple nights when it's been a bit windy. It is occasionally gusting tonight, so if you hear that, I apologize in advance. It's getting to the point where it's tonight or never, really. And I apologize. I am filming this at night. The lighting in here is not the best. I need to work out something else, and I haven't yet. Sorry, I will get on it. It is on my list of things to deal with. I know the low video quality is not ideal. Anyway, on to the knitting. I have some very exciting news. My Braevall cardigan, I finished the fronts and the backs. The first front took a lot longer than the second one, even though the second one, basically the instructions are to make it the same size as the first one. So I thought, oh, I'll just do that. And then I realized I'd counted how many stitches were up on the neckband side, and that had included short rows and a few stitches after that. So I had to rip it back and then do it. And then I realized I still had more rows, so I had to rip that back again. Anyway, I got there eventually. And then the back instructions are to knit it so you have the same number of stitches as the front, and I'm not entirely sure I did, but I'm happy with it. So, oh, wow, the lights really changed when I did that. I'm fine with it. So I've got this little lace panel coming out of a pleat in the back, and it's got a dipped hem, a slight A-line on as the silhouette, and there goes the light again. So I'm really happy with it. I want to weave in basically all the ends and then wash and block it before I either do the sleeves or the neckline. I'm kind of tempted to do the neckline first, just because I think it'll be easier to keep having to pick it up and turn it around as I'm knitting if it doesn't also have sleeves, whereas I don't think the neckband will make any difference whatsoever for having sleeves. So yeah, that's my main thing that I have done this past week, and I'm really, really happy that that's coming along. The other thing I worked on a bit was my bob socks. The Braevall cardigan is by Emily K. Williams, and I am knitting it in Suilven, I think is the yarn. Just turning back a few pages. Suilven, which is a Ripples Craft yarn. That one is Summer Swim. This is the colorway. And next up is my bob socks, which are a DK weight sock pattern by Rachel Coopey. And it is a 2-color one. I'm just doing it one color. Hers, she does the cuff, the leg and the cuff in one color, and then the foot, the heel, the foot, and the toe in a second color. They're coming along quite nicely. This is the second one, so at this point I've turned the heel, I've worked the decreases, and I am just carrying on until I reach the toe decreases. I did the other one as a shaped toe, so I just need to remember to make sure I knit it for the other foot. But yeah, this is coming along really nicely. That was my stitch marker just from kind of Sunday. I was working on it. So progress goes really quickly on this one when I work on it. This is my walking about my handbag project, so I don't always get to work on it quite as much as some of the, like if I'm busy when out and about, I don't get to work on it. And the next one I have is a new cast on, and this is, oops, on the wrong page of my notes, sorry. This is the Alta pattern by Amy Herzog, and I'm just going to stop the video right here so I can put in a picture of the finished cardigan. Sorry, I said cardigan. It's a pullover, not a cardigan. I don't even know why I said that, except that I'm knitting it in pieces probably, so I do have an open side. I'm knitting this with some merino Possum. It's Jamie Possum Solid Plus, and I think the company's gone out of business. It's listed as discontinued. I got it at the Loch Ness Knit Festival, where they were selling it for something like £5 a ball, or it was 10 balls for £20, and I wound up getting 2 bags of the 10 balls, so I got 20 balls for £40. So I have lots of wool to work with, and it was my thought that I could use this to make something for Kitten to wear to school, because her school colors is kind of the purple. It's not this plummy, it's really a true purple. And I'm gonna have to stop this and cough. Sorry about that. I'd paused the video to add the picture, and then I thought, wow, I made it to 5 minutes and I haven't been coughing yet. So obviously I jinxed myself. So yeah, Jamie Possum, I guess the wool's been discontinued, but Possum wool is really light and really warm. So you get really good meterage for, my throat's still a bit sore from the coughing. You get really good meterage for, they're 50 gram balls. So I knit a swatch and I plugged it into Amy Herzog's Customfit pattern generator. Excuse me. With the same measurements I used for, the same measurements I'd used for my brushwork jumper. So that one is a cardigan. So I know it fits me really well. They're good measurements, and with my current swatch, I'm giving a really nice fabric, and I largely cast this on because pretty much all the projects I was working on were sock weight. The DK socks were as big as it went, and even those are on a 2.25, so a 2.25 millimeter needle, which is really small. And I just, having finished the cardigan for Catherine, I really felt I needed something a little bigger to hold on to sometimes. And I cast this on. I haven't put a whole lot of work into it. I've been really trying to do the Braevall one, although it's a really slippy yarn, that one. Lots of stitches, small needles, so I don't want Catherine grabbing it and yanking it. Is why that one's kind of been a slow one. It has been a when Catherine's not awake project. So this one is nice. This is the back. So the back is just plain. Be some waist shaping, and that's it. And then the front and the sleeves both have cables, and then it's a funnel cowl kind of neck. And I imagine it'll be really warm and cozy. I did specify that it would be a low hip rather than hip. I do have lots of meterage, so I can make it longer, and I think I'll feel more comfortable having it be slightly more, not quite tunic, but slightly more tunic style, just down, just a little longer, a little past my hips. I don't like things to be close to the top of my jeans. It's just not a comfortable place for me. So it's good to know one of the nice things about Custom Fit is you can tell it, like when it says standard hip measurement, you can put yours anywhere. It doesn't have to be where a standard pattern would have that. You can say this is the minimum length I want a sweater to be. You could just say my hip measurement is tunic length for everything. Everything will be tunic length. Absolutely no crop tops, no right at your waist, no, like just keep them all going. So you can pick what your point is for how long where on your body you want the length to be. So I've got that on the way, and that's really nice. And then the other thing I cast on this week is a test knit. And I know I said I don't do test knits because I've done test knits and they make me crazy. But this one is so small and cute that I knew it wouldn't make me crazy. It's only half done. And it is a cupcake. And then the other half that I still need to do is to knit the frosting that goes on top. And I don't want to show you too much to it's a really basic pattern. This is Hunter Hammersen, and I don't know if I can tell you the name of the pattern yet, so, but these little cupcakes, she'll be the first to tell you it's a dead easy pattern, but she's had some luck with her dead easy patterns recently, where they're just the simplest things and everybody buys them and everybody goes crazy knitting them because they're so cute. She's done the hearts and the stars, and there were acorns. And next up is cupcakes. So I'm almost done with this one. I decided on the wool that I'm going to use. This is acrylic. It's just stash acrylic in a cupcake color because they don't have paper. They're just the cupcake and then the heaps of frosting on top, depending on how much frosting you want to make. So I decided on what yarn I will use for that, so now I can do the top. And drying the bottom takes a while. I could have been knitting the top while the bottom was drying, but I wanted to finish the Braevall and decide what yarn to use. Not finish, but finish that stage of the Braevall. So those two things have happened. So yeah, cute cupcakes coming your way. And I'm just gonna have to stop it and cough again. I'm so very sorry. Sorry about that. So yeah, that's that. Next up, the next thing I'm going to be casting on is the next Boost Your Knitting pattern. Comes out on I don't know what day. Comes out on the 1st, which is either Monday or Tuesday. Today's the 28th, 29, 30. There's 31 days of March. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It probably comes out on Monday. And that the pattern name has been released. It is the Sterlin shawl by Joji Locatelli, and she's a big name in knitting right now. It is a triangle shawl that will blocked to give it a slight crescent shape is what I'm interpreting the pattern notes, and that is knit in the scrumptious 4-ply that I got with my Boost Your Knitting kit that I cannot show you, and the technique is fixing lace mistakes. I cannot show you the yarn for that because it is Mothering Sunday this weekend, and Kitten said she would like to give me yarn, and so I needed to get yarn to give her that she could wrap up and give to me on Sunday. So I decided, since that's the next project I plan on casting on, that she could wrap that up and give it to me. So I will hopefully get that Sunday, and then on Monday I can cast it on. So yeah, I had to give her yarn. Excuse me. I had to give her yarn, a gift bag, and tissue paper, and she's going to make a card for me. So this year at least I will not be entirely forgotten on Mother's Day. Yes, that's pretty much all the knitting news. In family stuff, we have chest colds. Kitten's the only one who doesn't have it. I was talking to someone else, and another one of the mums, and she said that she and her younger children had a really bad chest cold right now, and her child who is in the class with Kitten doesn't, so I don't know how they managed to miss it. So I've just got something weird going on with my hair here. I went swimming today with Catherine, so that's another thing on the family one. Since we went swimming 3 weekends ago, when Kitten was at the birthday party, Catherine and I had gone swimming. Since then, she's kind of remembered how fun swimming is, and she keeps, I can't remember what her sound is for swimming, but her gesture is this. And then when I'm trying to get her dressed and I say, what nappy do you want? She says ice cream, which is her swim nappy has ice cream cones and ice lollies on it. And I'm like, no, you can't wear that. We need a nappy that will actually hold things and not just a swim nappy. And then one time she even went and found her swimming costume and brought it to me and was absolutely beside herself. We wound up having to get a taxi to go out because she wouldn't get dressed or anything. She was so upset. She adamantly wanted to go swimming. And I was kind of like, I've already gotten showered and dressed and I don't want to go swimming and have to go through all that again. Not that it's an ordeal, but I don't know. I don't like showering twice in one day and all that kind of stuff. So we went today. I had told, that was last Friday, that she had wanted to go swimming, and I'd kind of been like, oh yeah, no, tomorrow. And then we got the head colds and everything was not fun, and I'm feeling mostly better. I think Catherine's feeling better as well, though we're still occasionally having these really bad coughs, these unproductive coughs that just hurt so much. But we finally went today. She wanted to go, and I was like, okay, that's a thing we can do. It was basically the first thing she said to me this morning, and I was like, okay, but don't tell Kitten. Wait till she's out of the house, and then we can start prepping for going swimming today, because Kitten, even though today is Kitten's swim lesson day in the afternoon, she is jealous that Catherine gets to go swimming in the fun pool and not just swim lessons, even though we go to her swim lessons every week. And this is, I don't know, the second time Catherine's been swimming this year. So, but when we went to pick her up and she's like, did you go swimming today? And I said, yes. And she's like, oh, okay, that means we both get to go swimming today. And I'm like, yes, that was my plan. It's just calm and cool. Everybody got to go swimming today. Because last week on Thursday, which is probably why Catherine had the meltdown on Friday, because we took Kitten swimming on Thursday afternoon, and then Friday she was like, no, it's my turn. And I was like, it's not. So they both got to go swimming the same day. Now we can all be calm about it. Kitten and I, not this last weekend, but the weekend before, we went ice skating. The local ice skating club had a disco party where they had ice skating. It was from 5 to 7 at night, and I kind of figured we wouldn't stay the whole time, but we wound up not only staying the whole time but skating the whole time. We just stopped once to use the toilet and we're right back on the ice, and I was so sore across my shoulders. My feet ached a little bit, but I was so sore across my shoulders from holding Kitten's hand, and then every time she slipped, like, I had to pull her up. Completely worth it. We both had a really good time. She said she had a really good time. I had a lot of fun. And by the end, she was doing really well. She basically runs on the ice. She's not, I don't even know how to do it properly. She's not skating. She's kind of just running. But I figure if she does it more, it'll click at some point. But she was able to do like some little circles and stuff, and yeah, only fell a couple of times. Didn't properly fall that much at all, because mostly I was holding her hand, and she only went splat on her bum, I think, once, and she was like, oh, it really hurts. And I'm like, yeah, you complain about all the times you slip and I'm yanking you up. That's why, because yanking you up doesn't hurt as much as going splat on your bum. But yeah, we had a good time. It was a lot of fun, and we hope to work more ice skating into our life, especially now that Catherine does so well. Catherine falls apart when Kitten and I leave, but once we're gone, like Chris is always like, oh no, we had a really good time together. And I think it's good that they get time together. And I know Kitten really wants time with me without Catherine being in the way. Let's see, the Monday playgroup, which is also the Thursday playgroup we've never been to because it's the same building and the same toys, has been infested by ants and slugs. So it was off this week, which was good because with our head cold, I was just like, no, I can't do anything. I'm just going to sit here all day and go, and even though I'm feeling better, like I was feeling better, I think Tuesday night at bedtime specifically, I was like, oh, I actually don't feel completely terrible anymore. And then Wednesday, I was still not feeling terrible, but just absolutely exhausted. Like that seems to be the last kind of hurrah of this cold, is just utter exhaustion. Because Catherine has, even with the head cold, Catherine has been making really good strides towards sleeping through the night. Not so much going to bed on time, but like once she's asleep, that's largely her for the night, touch wood. So she's been sleeping through the night, but I haven't been feeling terribly rested, probably not breathing well with the head cold, can't sleep deeply. There was one night, the first night she slept through the night, there were cats going at it under the porch right outside my bedroom. We've got French doors onto a little patio, and they were under the patio. And I thought they were fighting, but then in the morning, Chris was like, oh, were they making kittens? And I was like, you know what? I bet that's what it was. Because I went out and I thought they were fighting, like it was one of our cats and a neighbor cat having a tussle. And then I realized whatever was going on was under the porch. I'm like stamping on it and shining my flashlight around. And then I eventually saw a cat like run off in a way that looked like it really didn't want to be running off. And then I went back in the house and I checked, and both my cats were just sat in the lounge like, yeah, something weird. Like their tails weren't even fluffed up. They weren't freaking out. They were just both kind of like, man, no clue. So I went back to bed, and then it started again. And I'm like, oh, no, I can't. So I'm just going to ignore it. Whatever it is, it'll work itself out. And eventually it stopped, and then it started again a little bit later. So I think he was right. I think they were making kittens. Not fun. So I was up for like an hour in the middle of the night because these darn cats were not fixed properly. Yeah. In other news, Miss Christie and her family may stay longer. No other details than that. And my mother has booked her stay, and she's coming in June. So if Miss Christie stays longer, they may overlap, but they probably won't. My mother wants to be home in time for my brother's birthday, but is not coming in time to see me for my birthday. In her defense, it is my brother's 40th birthday, which is slightly more important than my 38th birthday. But yes, her logic for when she's coming to visit is she wants to be home in time for my brother's 40th birthday. So it'll be nice to see her. Kitten will still be in school while she's here. I think she leaves the weekend, like Kitten is done with school, and then it's the weekend, and then she leaves on the Monday. So not really getting to see a lot of holiday time, but we can still do things on the weekends. Yep. And other than that, the only thing I've really done, I was able to get some gardening done the other day when I was feeling better. Raked up more leaves. There's still more leaves, always more leaves. You live next to a forest, and even though it's April in a few days, there's still more leaves in our garden. And I trimmed back a tree, and that exposed more blackcurrant. I thought it was one I'd planted, but it seems really much too well established to have been planted by me in the last 3 years. We've only been here. This will be our 4th summer. It'll be 4 years this summer. And I don't feel like a blackcurrant could have gotten as big as this one has. But anyway, I noticed it was kind of growing up in part of the tree, so I cut off all the branches that are going that way on the tree to give the blackcurrant more room. And then I was kind of looking at the other, there's several of these, they're smallish trees, but there's several of them together, and I was like, oh, I could take out at least 2 of them and put in an apple tree or something, a fruiting tree that would benefit my family. Excuse me, I don't know where these are coming from. The only downside is the trees there do create a barrier, a visual barrier between us and our neighbor's house. And it would take a number of years for a fruit tree to get big enough to fill that same purpose. The trees do hum, they absolutely hum with bees for several weeks in the middle of the summer. And so that's very much in the positive column, but other than that, and the privacy screening, I have no attachment to these trees whatsoever. They're very much like lots of branches, and the branches are all, jumbled together. So what I want to do is kind of thin them out a bit. And yeah, but it may wind up being thinned out a bit and then eventually replace them with an apple tree. I'd really like to have fruit trees in my garden, and that is one of the sunniest parts of our garden. I also pulled out a small section, it is not big, like 1 foot by 2 foot, a little rectangle, and I raked out the moss. Actually, it was easier just to kind of roll it up in my hands, and I got a wildflower lawn mix. So it's a lot of grasses and some short flowering plants that are all native Scottish wild plants, like they should be here. And so this is part of my trying to create a garden that is welcoming to pollinators and other local wildlife, is that I specifically want things that are supposed to be growing natively here, and not just any bird and butterfly mix where they're all European things or worse, North American things. So yeah, there's that. And then I did a planter and we put some sweet peas in it because sweet peas are just lovely and smell nice. I've got some forget-me-nots, which I think of as a weed, and I'm sure, that's what they are. They're a weed. But I actually bought seeds for them in the common store. So forget-me-nots, because I like the way they look. I don't like the little seed burrs that stick to your socks. But I don't imagine I will be tramping through the forget-me-nots. And maybe that's just something children should learn. Trample through the forget-me-nots, you get little seed burrs in your socks. So yeah, I've planted some forget-me-nots. They're not coming up yet. The sweet peas need more time anyway. They haven't been in as long. And I got some gladiola bulbs, so I hope to get those in this weekend. And I want to build my little grow house, like just a cheap little grow house, to see if I can get some stuff started. After we went swimming today, we went to the floral hall, and I saw they had tomatoes and broad beans that were £1 each, or buy 4 get a 5th free. So I thought, I could get some of these little plugs. And they were really, they weren't like little ones, they were quite a good size. So I figure I could get a few of those, and then I'm not trying to grow things from seeds so much. I'm like, there's my plan. I will just get vegetables that clearly the garden thinks grow well in this climate, and try to find someplace sunny for them, and then work out where in the garden they'll go on a slightly more permanent basis. And with vegetables, permanent means 6 months, 4 months, 3 months, however long it takes for them to grow. So yeah, I'll need to get back there when I have a bag. And the only reason I didn't buy them today is because we walked and I had no way of getting them home. But yeah, I'm hoping gardening can be more of our life. I like the idea of having a nice garden, and I'm coming to accept the fact that means I'm going to have to spend hours a week in the garden doing things. Although a lot of the things I want to do is just planting bulbs and having them come up every year. I think bulbs are absolutely the most wonderful thing. The directions always say, for best results, dig them up and then replant them next year. And I'm like, no. I don't care if your best results, I'm planting bulbs and seeing what happens and hoping to get lots of color. The daffodils are largely opening and the tulips are looking close to opening. And we got an iris. I had bought some bulbs in the autumn that were supposed to be planted in the autumn and I didn't get around to it. And so in January I went out and took a big, it was one of the buckets we got when we were growing potatoes that one year. And I filled it up with dirt and I just threw all the bulbs in at the different levels they're supposed to be in, and then put more dirt, to the depths they were supposed to be at. And I'm like, we'll see what happens. And finally, I've got like a little iris that's just, it's not even that high up from the ground. They're not big irises. They're supposed to just be little irises. So yay, they didn't all die. Yeah, and it sounds like the wind's picking up more, and I think that's been about half an hour. And yeah, I will talk to you next week, hopefully next week. Hopefully I'll be over this cold by then, and hopefully I'll have a better plan for dealing with the light by then. Excuse me, I don't know what this is. This cold has brought a lot of heartburn with. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me, and I will talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.